Hey everyone, welcome to Back at the Ranch, Expedition Online's after show. I'm Jessica Martin, and here with me tonight we have Robin, our third place finisher. Welcome.
How's it going?
Good, how are you doing?
I'm doing all right. Yeah, third place finisher. It doesn't sound great, but we'll deal with it, I guess.
It doesn't sound bad though. You played a hell of a game.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah. I don't know. I just really wanted to win, So for me, like third place and 15th place, just I played longer, but for the same result. So yeah, it would have been nice to win, but what can you do?
Yeah. You were close though. And we'll get to that, but we're gonna kind of start at the beginning of your game. So day zero, dropped into a room with a bunch of people. What were your first thoughts about everything?
I was nervous. I was like in my real life, I'm not really great at like talking to strangers and like making, acquaintances or friends. So like I was really nervous that I was going to be kind of like the weird person or like the outcast or the person that was different. So and that's like the last thing you want. Like I think that there are 16 people and you just don't want to be the person that's perceived as being different from everybody else, because I think that like for that first vote, it's just like you're looking for someone that's different in any way. So I was really nervous, but like I think I navigated it pretty well. I think I like listened more on day zero. I didn't really do that much talking, but like the people that I spoke to were pretty cool. So it just made me like calm down a little bit and made me feel a little bit more comfortable. And it was like easier from that point on.
That's so interesting you say that because I felt like you were very social and very personable, and like I wouldn't have thought that about you at all.
Yeah, I think that like um I don't know what it is. Like I noticed that in myself too. Like every time we would stop filming, I'd be like, "Oh man, like this is not how I am like in real life at all." Like in real life around like a group of people, like I'm pretty quiet and like uh I don't know, like not that I don't like being in a group, but sometimes I don't like being in a big group of people. So yeah,
Yeah,
I was actually like happy with the way that things went, and like I was proud of myself for like putting myself out there and being social and stuff like that. So yeah, but definitely different, I would say, from how I am like in my real life.
that's so funny because Carl said the same thing when I talked to him, that he's a lot more introverted. As for the two of you of like all people, I was like, I wouldn't have guessed that at all.
Yeah, I think that like not that I like wasn't being myself, but I think that like when you're playing a game, right, you're kind of obviously, I mean not obviously, but I thought like I'm not going to act exactly as I am, right? Like you're still playing a game, you're still, everything you say and everything you do is either going to work for you or against you. So like I was very like aware of that. So maybe we just like knew that we had to turn it on.
Yeah, it definitely like forces you to socialize more because if you don't socialize, you're gonna be gone.
Hmm. Absolutely. And like, yeah, that was probably the thing that I was most worried about, but I think it ended up working out pretty well in the end.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
you got to the end, so it actually
Yeah.
worked out pretty well.
Yeah.
But yeah, it seemed like you set yourself up pretty good on day zero. You made a lot of connections with people. Um, I think Carl was the biggest connection you had there, and I was sad to see you guys split up on different parties when they got picked because I wanted to watch you work together. So how did you feel about your party on Kibo?
I felt okay. The two people that I had made the best connections with on day zero, I think, were definitely Carl and Jordan. So like I was happy that at least one of them was there with me, but like honestly, the only other people I had spoken to were Trent, Austin, and maybe someone else. And like out of everyone that I spoke to, the only person that was on my party was Jordan. So that kind of like, I mean, it worried me, but it didn't really worry me that much. Again, like that first vote, I think you just look for the person that's like maybe a little bit different or maybe a little bit on the outside. And I was like, as long as I'm not, on the outside, I'll be okay. And like things went pretty well. Like when we all got into a room together, it was good. And like we won our first challenge. So that kind of gave us a chance to spend a lot of time together and just like talk and get to know each other and stuff like that. And like it was good vibes the whole time. So overall, like I think it maybe would have been better to be with people that I had spoken to a little bit more on day zero, but I was still happy with the people that we had, and we worked really well together on that first challenge. So like I was kind of like, okay, this is good. Like things look good for this first part of the game for sure.
Yeah. You definitely had yourself in a good spot in Kibo and like the majority alliance, you and Jordan and some other people.
Mhm.
And you guys won the majority. You guys really lucked out. Solo quit, so you didn't have
Yeah.
to worry about that. Then they had two quits on Shira, and you guys still won those nights anyways. Um, and then when you guys finally did have to actually go to Crossroads, that was the John Stuck vote, which I'm trying to think. Okay. So originally everyone wanted to vote Jon Snow, but I think it was you who switched it to John Stuck.
Yeah, yeah. So basically, like that first vote, I think for sure it was going to be John, and I think some people had also brought up maybe Danielle. Um, but when I got into a room alone with John, he kind of confided in me that him and Danielle knew each other from a previous like online strategy game. So I knew that I was good with Jordan, and like I felt pretty comfortable with Sneha and Arliana and Danielle. And I was like, if I can also be good with John, then I'm kind of like covering all of my bases from the beginning. So that's when I was like, okay, let's try and switch this to JJ. And like it was pretty easy. It wasn't like people didn't really put up that much of a fight. I was just like, JJ, he doesn't really seem like he's too into it, or he doesn't really seem like he knows like what's going on and blah blah blah. And everyone kind of just like agreed with it. So we kind of made the plan where we were going to tell JJ that it was going to be John, and then everybody was going to vote JJ, and that's exactly how it went. And like that for me was a really good sign. I think I said in my vote, I was like, okay, this is going to show me like if I have any kind of like influence in the party, because
Yeah.
it was like, I mean, I don't want to be like whatever, it was my idea or whatever, but like yeah, and it ended up being a 6-1 vote. So that's kind of how JJ got the short end of the stick, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, that was, I think, one of the first moves where you were starting your resume off, everyone's following the leader. But
Yeah.
I think you were able to maintain like a low key leadership role because no one was like pointing fingers at you in your own party yet.
Yet, right?
Yeah.
Yet. I was trying not to be too um like I wanted to be aggressive in the way that I was playing, but I didn't want to be aggressive in the way that I was like presenting ideas. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like I definitely like had ideas in my mind that I wanted to push for, but I knew that as I was pushing for them, I couldn't like be like too overbearing or too obvious that it was me that was doing some of these things. So I was like trying to balance like what I was doing with how I was doing it, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I think you did
Yeah.
it in like a calculated way, so it didn't
Mhm.
seem like it was all coming from you, which was awesome.
Yeah.
That Crossroads, though, I have never heard anyone in the history of Expedition say they're comfortable at Crossroads before.
Oh, I knew that was gonna I knew that was gonna come up.
I was laughing so hard. I was like, wow, that's ballsy.
I just like I just like the term nervous, right? Like Docs was saying, like, who's nervous? And like on night zero, I was nervous. Like I was actually physically nervous. I was like, I don't know how this is gonna go. But at Crossroads, I was like, okay, there are only a certain amount of possibilities of things that can happen. Like one of them is that I might go home. And like if I go home, that's it's a game, right? So like sometimes you lose in a game. So when he was like, And then Jordan afterwards told me, she's like, you can't say that. Like, you can't be like, no, I'm not nervous. You can't. And I'm like, but it's the truth, right? Like, so I don't know. But then I made sure to say that, like, I'm not nervous, but I know that it could be me. Like, I'm very well aware that there's always a chance that it can be you that goes home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That just that was a very unusual moment at Crossroads, and it was awesome, but I was like, "Oh my god, I'm, like, so worried for this guy now, like, he might have just shot himself in the foot," but it
So,
didn't work that way.
but I really wanted to like play up, like, guys, this is just a game, right? Like, this is all a game, nothing's personal. Like,
Yeah.
at the end of all of this, everything's gonna be okay, blah, blah, blah. Because if I did end up making it far in the game, that was really going to be like my pitch at the end. Like, my pitch at the end was going to be, listen, I played this like a game, calculated, strategic, like nothing personal, no emotions, blah, blah, blah. So I really wanted people to know that, like, to me, this is a game. And I wanted other people to feel that way too. Like, I wanted other people to feel comfortable with the fact that, like, hey, some people are going to get cut here along the line. And, like, hopefully they're not going to be too pissed about it when it happens.
Yeah, that's actually a really interesting, way to pitch it, and I like that, because I feel like a lot of people do forget that it is a game, like the 2 quits we had on Shira, like, they didn't
Mhm.
really understand that it was a game, it wasn't personal that they got votes, it's a game.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, I mean, it's just like playing like Monopoly, right? Like, if someone like builds a hotel and you land on it in Monopoly, do you like get mad and like curse at the no, well, I mean, maybe some people do, but like, it's a game. I think that, like, the difference is that we are real people, and like we are like getting to know each other and like building bonds and stuff like that. But it still is, at the end of the game, at the end of the day, a game, and like only one person is going to win in the end. So like a lot of
Yeah,
people are going to be, unhappy.
I like that analogy, that's funny. I'm gonna buy the boardwalk, I'm gonna buy Park Place, I'm gonna put a shit ton of hotels on it,
There you
I'll
go.
start tomorrow.
Exactly.
So okay, so after that, you guys swap parties.
Yeah.
You're still on on Kibo in the
Yeah.
majority. You guys get Austin and Lindsay. You guys lose. Austin gets saved, gets abducted back to his original party. Was there any chance for Lindsay at all, or were you guys just set?
I don't think there's any chance for Lindsay. Like, I mean, I personally got really, really lucky with the swap. Like,
Yeah,
really, really lucky with the swap. Not only, like, I got lucky twice, actually. We got lucky twice. We got lucky the first time that we were a 6-2, or sorry, a 4-2 majority out of the six. And then we got lucky a second time that they took Austin with them, right? I don't really know I mean, I'm sure there was a reason for it, but like, if you want them to like try and make some kind of a dent in our alliance and in our original party, wouldn't it be better to leave two of them there and take one of us, so that it's 3-2 and that they only have to flip one person? So they
yeah,
really, and like, we told Lindsay this, like, she got screwed big time, like, and it wasn't, there may have been some stuff going on that I don't know, but like, it was never a thought in my mind to not get rid of Lindsay, and it was never a thought in my mind either to not get rid of Austin.
yeah.
Um, we really wanted. I mean, I really wanted numbers when we did Rendezvous. So like, to me, getting rid of one of our own just wasn't an option.
Yeah, it was interesting on the Lindsay vote, watching it as a mod, like she didn't really fight for herself to you guys at all. She just kind of laid down. And I had wondered like what would have actually happened if she did pitch a case to different members.
So so Austin for sure fought a lot harder than she did, and he definitely made like better arguments. And I think that, and I we're gonna get to this eventually, but like, I think that Austin was definitely the one that like started planting the seeds in some of our alliance that, like, okay, there's gonna have to be a move made soon. um Lindsay, I mean, she tried. The thing with me is that like, her biggest argument was that she was going to be better in challenges than Danielle would be. And I don't really know where that came from, because like, if you look at Danielle, especially up to that point, like, she had been doing great in challenges. So I don't know, like, I don't know what she was trying to do, I mean, I think that she was just like kind of, like I said, she got screwed. So maybe she could have fought a little bit harder, but I don't think it would have really mattered in the end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then same, Austin got screwed.
Austin tried
He
though.
tried though. He really
Austin Austin tried. He tried with me, and I think that when he saw, so I was the first person that he spoke to when we came back to camp, and I think that when he saw that it wasn't going to go with me, he went with a couple of the other girls, and like I know he was pitching me, and I know that he was pitching me. Obviously, I saw that he was pitching me in Crossroads. Like he tried really, really hard, and I don't know how close he was. But yeah, he definitely got screwed because I know for a fact that like if he had gotten a little bit luckier with the swap or was like a little bit more on the side of the majority with the numbers, like I think he would have ended up doing really, really well because he was a super nice guy, super smart guy, really well spoken. Like I think he would have done really, really well in the game. So I think he got screwed for
Yeah.
sure as well.
Yeah, I think he would have too. And I understand why you guys wanted to take him out.
Oh yeah, I was like, I'm not leaving this guy.
Yeah,
This guy's dangerous. I'm not leaving this guy in the game. There's no way that we can do that.
So next round, Kibo is safe. And this day, I think, is like your big breakout moment. They abduct you.
Yeah,
Arliana basically led the pitch on that one because she wanted an ally over there to possibly help her out.
yeah.
And no one thinks you're voting. You're telling them where to vote, who they can trust more. But we get to Crossroads and you shake shit up.
Yeah, so the Crossroads before that, we abducted Arliana. And the reason why I wanted to abduct her is because I wanted to tell her like we're pretty sure the rendezvous is coming up. So like just get through one more vote, try and throw as much shade on Jon Snow as you possibly can. And then if you can just get through one more vote, then you'll come back over here and we'll have the numbers and it'll be great for us going forward. So when they abducted me, I was like, oh, this is amazing. Like this is great. So I tried like in the deliberation period or whatever to like throw some stuff on John. And then when we got to Crossroads, I kind of got the sense that like one of two things were happening, that either they were like unorganized in their vote and that like it wasn't going to be a majority vote, or that they were going to split the vote 3-3 and then revote. So when I saw that, and then I mean, John didn't do himself any favors at Crossroads. He was kind of like all over the place and being like, yeah, no, I like this person. No, I'll work against that person. And I was like, okay, we got to get this guy out. And I really wanted him out. So when I kind of saw that was happening, I was like, I don't think there's any risk for me here to give up my exemption. Like, they're not going to be able to get themselves, they don't look organized right now. They're not going to be able to get themselves organized. And they didn't think I was voting. So during the deliberation, I'm sure there was no talk whatsoever of like, well, what if Robin votes? Like, maybe we should vote him out. So I felt pretty safe in voting. And I was like, if I can do this, one, it gets John out. Two, I'm pretty sure Rendezvous is next, so we'll have numbers and I'll save Arliana. Three, it really like solidifies my bond with Arliana, which is kind of ironic considering what's going to happen next. And four, like the whole resume thing, right? Like I can, if I'm at the end, I can go to Final Ascent and be like, no one in the game would have done that except for me. So like I thought it was really going to be like a good case for me. And plus, like, I just thought it would be fun.
We were
Yeah, I
all
just
like,
thought it would be
oh,
cool, you know, to be like, you know what? No, I am gonna vote. Like, let's see what happens. Like, let's roll the dice and let's try and make something happen. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Yeah.
So they gave you no inkling that they were going to split. You just guessed that that's what they were going to do.
I guessed, I don't want to make it seem like I figured out that they were gonna split, but like I just kind of I was like, it seems like that could be a possibility, right? Because at that point, clues were starting to come out for the compass. So I was like, maybe they're worried about a compass and they're going to split. And then, but I was like, if they're going to split, I'm like 99% sure that on the revote, it's going to be Arliana. So I was like, let me jump in here right now and try and, you know, at least gain some control of the vote. I was like, they brought me over here, and like I can have a say in what's going on this party. Like, why would I not do it? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it was a really smart move. And like Jon Snow was so bitter at Danielle, and I think he was bitter that his name was tossed out in general, that I think he definitely would have flipped over to Shira come Jon.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. If like, so they did end up splitting. So let's say I didn't vote, right? They would have split. They probably would have re-voted to vote Ariana out. And then we would have gone to the rendezvous, and it would have been 5-4 for them, because for sure John would have gone over to their side.
Yeah.
So, and I think like even if I didn't do what, even if I did do what I did, and John stayed, he still would have gone over to their side. So like, what is the risk really? The only risk is like possibly me getting voted out, but I knew that they weren't going to do that. So there wasn't really that much risk of that happening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that brings us to the rendezvous where Michael goes out. And I feel like
Mhm.
that's another vote where you were leading the charge without like leading the charge.
Yeah. So people wanted to do, the two names that came up at the beginning were either Carl or Trent. And Arliana really didn't want to do Trent because she was adamant that when she went over to Shira and she was alone, Trent was the only person that really made any effort to like talk to her, get to know her, kind of include her in what was going on. So Arliana was just not comfortable doing Trent. And like I totally respect that. Like that's cool with me. Like to me, that's a good enough reason not to do Trent. And then I really didn't want to do Carl because
Yeah.
with like the swaps, and like I had a chance to go over to their camp, and like I talked a little bit to Carl, and I really felt good about Carl, so I didn't want to do Carl. So I don't really remember what I said, but I think it was like something generic like, oh yeah, like Michael, he's like silent, like he doesn't talk a lot, like he's quiet, you don't really know what he's doing. And everyone was like, okay, let's do Michael. And I was like, all right, cool. And like it was to get the vote off of Carl, but also like I was kind of worried about Michael. So like it wasn't just like to save Carl. It was also because I think Michael could have been dangerous later on as well.
Yeah, I remember watching it and I forget who it was, but like the the telephone message of it changing from Carl to Michael got passed, and it ended up like turning into, oh, the girls don't want KF. You were just completely out of it. Like no one knew that you were the one that switched the vote. It was
Yeah.
awesome.
And it's so interesting that like you were able to watch this as like an outsider and like kind of see everything that was going on, because the whole time I'm going, and I think I said in one of my confessionals, I was like, maybe I'm like putting myself out there too much. Like maybe I have to like back up a little bit and like slow down a little bit. But I guess like, I guess people were just like, it's broken telephone, right? Like no one really
Yeah.
knows what's going on. Like everyone thinks they know what's going on, but you're just getting so many messages from so many people, and like the game is going so quickly that like it's hard to really be like 100% in the know. So I don't blame them for thinking that like it was another reason or whatever. But all I really cared about was that Carl was staying and that Michael was going. Like that's all I really wanted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting too, because you guys did the first ever week-long version of this game.
Yeah.
Like when I played, I did 3 weeks. So I don't think in this more fast-paced variety that people had enough time to figure out like who was really puppeteering.
We didn't. So we were told that on the second season, I think they had like double the time to deliberate or strategize or whatever. And we were told that they barely ever took the full amount of time. And we never finished early. Like we were always getting cut off. We were always getting pulled in. And like we never had a chance. Like I never had a chance to talk to everybody that I wanted to talk to. So you have to be like, okay, you go talk to this person and I'll go talk to this person. But how do you know that the person that you're kind of strategizing with is saying what you want them to say? But I think that's why Jordan and I worked so well together, because we would be like, okay, you go talk to this person, I'll go talk to this person. And like I was pretty confident that we were both saying the same thing. So
Yeah.
that was good. But man, it was like, it was so fast. It was so fast. Yeah, that like the pace of the game definitely affected like how people played for sure.
Yeah. Little speed climb.
Yeah, exactly.
So then we get to the next vote,
Yeah.
which, ooh, little
Yeah.
switch up from Kibo Strong, huh?
Yeah. So this is the big one probably.
So did you know at this point that she had the compass or that
No,
she had gotten 6 of the clues?
no. I had no idea. I found out after and I'm like, oh man, what great timing. Like what great timing. And like not knowing at all either. So like I got lucky in that sense as well because I had no idea. And I don't even think that like in the lead up to it, we were like, what if she has a compass? Again, if we had had more time, maybe that would have come up. But we had like, well, it never crossed my mind because
Yeah.
I had a lot of clues too. I had 5 clues and like, or maybe I had 4. I don't remember. I had a decent amount of clues.
Because you
And
did
I was
find the
having,
compass.
I had 5, I think. I don't remember, but like I was having so much trouble finding it. And in my stupid head, I was like, well, if I can't find it, what they can't find it either. You know what I mean? So I wasn't even thinking about it at that point. So then yeah, we decided to go with Arliana, and that's when like things started to really get kind of crazy, I think.
What in your head flipped then? Were you just like, she's really well connected, got to get her
Uh
out?
it was a lot of stuff. It was a lot of stuff. The first thing was that I had gone over to Shira and I knew that Jordan, Danielle, and Sneha had spent like almost an hour, just the 3 of them without me. So when I came back, I kind of asked Jordan, I was like, hey, was there any talk of like, like, did anyone talk about me basically? And she was like, yeah, she was like, Danielle was pitching really hard that um, maybe we should do like a girls thing, or maybe Robin should be the next to go, blah, blah, blah. The other thing is that like, I knew that we weren't going to stay Kibo 5 all the way to the end. Like it just wasn't going to happen. So I felt like a move was coming. And I thought that if there was a move that was going to be made, that it was going to be me. So I was like, let me do this um, before it happens to me. And Jordan brought up Arliana. I was thinking Danielle. Jordan brought up Arliana, and then I started thinking about it, and I was like, she is well connected. She did spend time at Shira. She does have a good bond with Trent. Um, she is someone that, and I think if you ask other people, they'll probably echo this. Like, I think that she was gonna be a good player, like in that end game kind of thing. Like she was very, very well liked. Again, very well spoken. So
Yeah. Yeah,
when
she did
Jordan
good at
brought up,
challenges too.
she was good, underrated, good at challenges, like undercover, good at challenges. Like she was gonna be good. So when Jordan said Arliana, I was like, oh, actually, that might actually be better. So
Yeah.
then we got in touch with Carl, Laney, and Trent, I think. Yeah, Carl, Laney, and Trent, and then we flipped the vote, and then we did Arliana. And luckily it was done. I think it was done in like the last 8 minutes, and like she had no idea, so she had no like warning or whatever for her to play her compass. So that was good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. And then that brings us to Danielle actually goes the next vote, which is a
yeah.
4-3 between you and her.
That should have been me. I should have been gone right there. I don't know how
Trent
they
flipped and he voted Danielle.
they messed that up, man. I don't know. Like I remember coming back to camp and like trying to hold in like my excitement of like, how did you guys mess that up? Because really, so they like Carl and Laney are voting together. So I'm assuming that they voted for me, and obviously Danielle was a vote for me as well, right?
They
So
actually didn't. So Trent and Lainey both voted for Danielle. Carl did vote for you though.
so this is okay, and you've played and won the game. So explain this to me, right? This is something that I just don't understand, and maybe I'm just not seeing. Okay, so Carl and Laney voted for different people.
Yeah.
What is the outcome that they're trying to reach by doing that?
That's a really good question.
Because
Um,
I get the concept of splitting a vote if you're trying to flush out a compass, which if that's what they were trying to do, great. I did have a compass and I used it. But here's the thing, like if you do it that way, if I don't use my compass, Danielle goes home. If I use my compass, Danielle goes home. So I don't know what you're trying to accomplish with that. So to me, it's like Carl and Lainey vote together, vote for me. Danielle's obviously going to vote for me, or else it's her. They only need one more vote. If they can't get Trent, how hard is it to convince Neha, who is just left out of the Arliana vote, to vote for me?
Yeah.
So I don't know, they messed up there. Like to me, that would have been so easy for them, but I don't know. I don't know
They
what
did
happened.
because Sneha, Carl, and Danielle all voted for you.
But then why would Lainey vote for Danielle?
So I didn't mod the night or see any of what happened this night. So
Okay.
I'm actually excited to watch and see what the hell
Yeah,
happened.
I'm wondering what was going on there. And like I had a compass and I was like, should I be playing this right now? But like 5 minutes before we went in, I was talking to Carl and I just felt like he was trying to get away from me.
Okay.
Like I felt like he was trying to go and speak to other people and I was like, oh, they don't know what they're like, they're not sure what they're doing, like they're not all on the same page. And then at Crossroads, it was like becoming increasingly clear that like they were like unorganized in their vote. Like to me, and maybe it's just my personality, like it's all about like organization. Everyone
Oh,
has to know
100%.
what they're supposed to do and why, and like that way you figure out the numbers thing and all that stuff, right? To me, they felt unorganized. And then at the end, Carl did like he was like, we're going with the first plan. Trent, you understand, right? And Trent was like, clearly didn't understand. Like, I don't know. So I was like, should I use my compass? Should I not? I ended up not using it because I'm like, if just that one vote flips, then I can just keep this for the next round.
Yeah.
But I think, and maybe there's something that I'm missing, but I think they should have gotten me out at 7. I think that was like the perfect opportunity for them to do it. So I would love to know why Lainey voted Danielle. That to me doesn't really make that much sense.
Yeah, I was surprised by that too. I thought you were going to be done at 7.
Yeah.
Um, you had made an alliance with Trent at the end, though. Did you make it at that vote or the vote after? I think it was like you, Trent, and Sneha.
That was after the Jordan vote. So the Jordan vote is next, right?
Yep, yep. So that brings us to Jordan, which was the
Yeah.
3-2-1 vote.
So in the Jordan vote, they did a really good job of placing all the votes where they needed them to go. 3 on me, 2 on Sneha, and 1 on Jordan, if I'm not mistaken. So they knew that if I didn't have a compass, I was going to go home, which is what they wanted. And then they knew that if I played my compass, they could play Lainey's compass on Sneha. So Jordan was going to go home. So it was going to be one of us either way. That's why I was so pissed that I lost the marshmallow challenge to Carl, because what I could have done is I could have been exempt myself and then I could have saved Jordan as well. And then
Uh,
we could have been together at final 5. So once Jordan went, then I had to figure out like, okay, how do I survive this next vote? And that's when I tried to link up with Sneha and Trent and like paint Carl and Lainey as the biggest threats. And then that's how we ended up doing the 3-2 vote against them at 5. I think
it
I'm
was,
remembering all of this correctly. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, it was smart to do that because Carl always had Trent on his radar. I think because of you, the first day, you're like, Trent's coming out of the gate hot, making a lot of
Oh yeah.
alliances.
Oh yeah. 100%. Yeah. And like that was true. Like I wasn't like BSing Carl.
Oh,
Like
no, I know
he
he
did
was.
he did come right out of the gate, and it did like, and like I love Trent. Like Trent is a legend. Like he's awesome. He's such a cool guy. But like it did kind of like not rub me the wrong way, but I was kind of like, oh man, this is strong from the game. That's what I was trying not to do. You know what I mean? It was the complete opposite of what I was trying to do. So like,
Yeah.
yeah, I was like trying to paint Trent in that way, but there was a lot of truth to it as well. Um, so I just tried to paint Carl and Lainey as like they're a pair. I'm alone. The only way that any of us can win is if we go to final 3 together. At that point, we didn't know that it was going to be a final 2. And then that was the first crossroads where I really felt like I was like fighting. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I was bringing up that Carl and I had been aligned since day 1, and that he had kind of like gone rogue on the Jordan thing, and that I felt like I couldn't trust him anymore, and that like we even had a catchphrase. That's how close we were, and blah blah blah. And like that was the first one where I was like, I have to fight because like I don't have a compass, like I don't have a safety net whatsoever.
Yeah.
And then luckily we were able to get the votes to get Carl out on that one.
Yeah, no, I think that worked out well for you because I knew you and Trent both needed someone to shield each other.
Mm-hmm.
Um, did he ever tell anyone that his son played during the
Nope.
game? That's so
Nope.
funny.
We found out at the end of the game. I try and notice everything. So when we're playing, like you see who the mods are, right? So like I see your name, I see Kyle, I see John, I see all the mods. And I know that like when I look at the people who are online, Gideon, Trent's son, is technically a mod, but I had noticed that he hadn't been modding the game. Do you know what I mean? Like I
Hmm.
hadn't seen his name. So at Final Ascent, I was like, oh, Gideon's here. And I was like, maybe he just like is bored tonight and like wants to, see what's going on. Maybe he's just like interested to see who's gonna win, right? So I was like, what? Like he hasn't been here the whole season, like the whole time we've been filming. Like, why is he here now? So then when the winner was revealed, uh, that's when we kind of found out like, oh, his son was a player as well, and blah blah blah. And we were all like very shocked. Because I mean, most of us know who he is, you know what I mean? So
Yeah. Oh, that's so
but that was
funny.
fun. That was really
You're
fun.
very observant.
Um, I guess, I don't know. I just like, yeah, I try and like look at everything. Every time I was like, I mean, you log on, you see the people that are online. I'm like, oh, Gideon, I remember Gideon, but he's not here. So maybe he's busy. I don't know, whatever.
Oh, that's too funny.
Yeah.
Okay, so this brings us to the final five,
Yeah.
where Trent wins exemption, and it
Yeah.
is either you or Carl on the chopping block, which
Yep.
ends up being Carl.
Yep.
Your alliance you just made paid off.
Yeah. And like, I think I said in my confessional right before that, I was like, it has to be me, Trent, and Sneha in final three. I was like, that's my ideal final three. That's where I want to go with it. So when Carl went, I was like, okay, this is perfect. As long as Lainey doesn't win the next exemption, then I think there's a pretty strong chance of us being able to get her out, and then it
Yeah.
being myself, Trent, and Sneha in the final three.
Yeah, and so then you win the next exemption.
I won the next one, yeah. So that one was huge, right? Yeah. And like I know Carl would disagree with this, but I had really been not doing well in challenges up until that point, like embarrassingly bad, especially all the stuff with like having to do with memory.
Oh yeah, those are
Um,
hard.
yeah, and I found that out in the final exemption. But like, so it was really like I felt really like clutch to have won that one. And then Lainey fought pretty hard, but like again, I don't know that there's much that she could have done. She told me that because at that point we had kind of figured out that it was going to be a final two.
Yeah.
So she had told me that if I kept her, then and one of us won the final exemption, that we would take each other and like battle it out at the end kind of thing. And I was like, okay, that's like a decent proposal, but I didn't know her well enough. Like she's probably the person that I spoke to the least out of everybody. I didn't
Yeah.
I didn't speak a word to Lainey until I think maybe we talked for 30 seconds when I went over to Shira, but until the merge, I had not talked to her at all. Or sorry, until the rendezvous, I had not talked to her at all. So I didn't know if I could trust her. I didn't know that she was actually going to do that. So I was just like, let's do the easy thing and get her out and then go from there.
Yeah. No, I mean, it was a smart move. It's hard to trust someone that you don't know that late
Yeah.
in the game.
Yeah, exactly.
Um, yeah, and you won at the right time. Like if
Yeah.
you sucked at the beginning, if you're winning at the end, that's all that really matters.
Yeah, I think
Um,
so. I think so. I like the only other one that I really, really wanted to win, like I said, was the marshmallow one because I wanted to save both myself and Jordan. But yeah, that last one at 4 was really important for sure.
yeah. So that brings us down to three. And you and Trent at the end, battling for that crucial decision-making spot.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Like I messed up the final exemption challenge for sure. Like I couldn't figure out, I guess like people will see it, but like, you're plugging in numbers based on like your memory of the game, and then you're doing the math equation, and like the math equation wasn't hard, like I have a calculator and I know the order of operations, like it's not that hard. It was like remembering the proper numbers, and the number that I never changed that was wrong was the number of cups on the silly swing challenge that I swore was 12, but it was actually 10. So like we had stacked cups in like 6 rows, and I thought that it was 1 1 2 2 3 3.
Yeah.
But it was actually 1 1 1 2 2 3.
The math
So
challenges were very hard on this season. There was a lot of stuff to remember.
the one where Docs told a story and like you had to, I was like, who's gonna remember all of this? And like again, like in real life, I feel like I have a pretty good memory. Like I feel like I'm pretty sharp with that kind of stuff. But man, that one was tough. The math one was tough. Yeah, there was some tough challenges. So I lost that, and then I was like, I mean, I didn't feel very good about it. Trent won the last one, and I didn't feel very good about my chances from that point on. So yeah.
But hey, you did all you could. And I know you said it's the same as getting 15th to you, but I think you should be proud of the game you played. You have built a hell of a resume, and
I'm
don't
definitely
perform.
proud. I'm definitely proud. Like I don't I don't want this to come off as like, oh, I got screwed because it was a final 2 and not a final 3. But like, let's say it was a final 3, like I felt really good about my chances. But it was a final 2, and like there's nothing I can do about that. When I was voted off, Docs said something about like me taking a lot of risks. And like I don't know if he meant that as a compliment, but like I took it as a compliment because I
Oh
was like,
yeah.
yeah, I did take a lot of risks, like I I don't like I was never passive. You know what I mean? Like I was always trying to do something. And like as far as like trying to get the most out of the experience, which it is like a crazy fun experience. Like it was so fun. Like taking risks and like doing big things and like stepping out of my comfort zone and all that. Like I'm definitely proud. I mean, I wanted to win, obviously.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm definitely proud, and I'm happy with the way I played for sure.
You didn't win, but you played a winning game, and taking risks and making big moves is what it's all about.
and
So,
and that mean thank you, and that means a lot coming from a former winner. So there you go. That's like that's a certified endorsement, you know what I mean?
so now that we are down to the final two, who are you rooting for to win right now?
I think that like in a weird way I was closer to Trent throughout the game, but that I do really like have a soft spot for Sneha. Like we worked together in the beginning of the game, and I know that right before that last crossroads, we like had some time in a room together when Trent was like making his decision. Like we had a really good talk, just like about how everything had gone and like all this stuff. So I would say like I'm rooting for both of them about equally, but maybe like a slight edge to Sneha.
Mhm. That's a good answer. Hey, and it
Yeah.
all comes down to the final speeches. How do you sell yourself in the end?
Yeah, there, and that's definitely going to be a big thing. And I think that we have a jury that are going to be very, very focused on, like you called it, the resume. Like I think there are going to be a lot of questions about moves. What did you do? What are your big moves? So I think that whoever can come up with the best list or the best resume and can sell themselves the best in that way, I think that they're going to have the best chance of winning.
Yep, exactly. Well, thank you for joining us today. Final thoughts. If we called you back again, would you play?
Um, Definitely not anytime soon. For sure, not anytime soon. Sure, there are people who like are able to play just from 5 to 9 or 5 to whatever we play 7 to 11 and like not think about it after. But like I'm not like so I'm obsessive compulsive. Like I'm clinically diagnosed with OCD. So when I have something in my life that I think is important, it just I mean I obsess over it. It just like takes over my life. So like I I didn't work out properly. I didn't eat properly. I didn't, my wife even was like, and she's like really happy that I'm having fun playing. And she's like, hey man, you got to talk about something else. Like we have to talk about something else. So like now that it's over, I'm like, oh, it was really fun and I had a really good time, but I don't know if I would do it again. I know that's maybe not the right answer to give,
No, and
but
that's okay. Yeah, no,
yeah,
I mean it does mirror the experience of a show we all really like on CBS.
yeah. So
Like you're
that's
not starving, but
exactly.
you're feeling all the mental stress and the emotions. And I mean, honestly, like when I played, I forgot to eat dinner most of the time because I was so stressed out. So I kind of
Yeah.
did get the eating piece, but
It does really mirror the experience. Obviously, you're not in person and you don't have the same elements, but like the whole like social aspect, strategy aspect, the competition aspect, it's all there. And like, I mean, I don't know, I was up looking for a compass, not to say that I didn't have like an amazing time because I really did. And I think in every one of my confessionals, I like talked about how much fun I was having because it really was really fun. But yeah, it was really draining as well.
as you know, as long as you had fun, which you
Oh yeah.
obviously did. But yeah, like when I ended my season, I was like, oh my God, I have like my life back again. I can sleep again. I can do this and
Yes,
that.
exactly.
And it
Yeah.
was so obviously I had an awesome time, but it was great to finally like decompress and regain like your normal life again. But like
Yeah.
I too, I'm like in the back of my head, like watching you guys play, I'm like, oh my God, I want to do this again.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like I
But at a
say
later
no
date.
now. Yeah, I say no now, but like if I had a chance to, like maybe, I don't know, maybe my answer would change. Who knows?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, thank you for playing. We all had a blast watching you. You were definitely one of the most fun people to watch this season.
thank
It
you.
was awesome talking with you. And yeah, this has been Back at the Ranch. We will see you guys next episode for the big finale.